Conversation should continue long after the Weekly Ringer is but gone and moved to the next week. Speaking of next week, really interesting story that is going to change the nature of how video games are perceived. It's a very important story. Some of you might be following, some of you might not be. But you need to watch this story, folks. And I'm not going to get political on this. I'm not going to talk about why it's significant from a political standpoint. It doesn't matter. What's important here is that we take a look at what's happening in the state of Rhode Island with 38 Studios. For those of you that don't know, 38 Studios was offered to move out of Massachusetts and to Rhode Island for the simple cost of moving. The state of Rhode Island would provide 38 Studios with $75 million of the taxpayers' money, because remember, governments don't have any money that isn't yours. $75 million to move to Rhode Island. That $75 million was provided as a loan, because the assumption was that they would hire people from the state of Rhode Island, the best and brightest, and that they would continue to produce these games like Kingdoms of Amalur and the ensuing MMO set in this universe, and that they would make all this money back and they would be able to pay back the loan in full. All right. They made this investment, which was very, very, very controversial at the time. Well, lo and behold, last Monday, I believe, the company, which was begun by former Red Sox great Curt Schilling, pitcher, very popular in New England, helped to end the 86-year drought of World Series victories for the Red Sox, defaulted. And they haven't defaulted on the loan yet, but they missed their first payment of the loan, which was something along the lines of $1 million, a little more. It appears now that they have no capability to pay the loan back, that the Kingdoms of Amalur game that they launched multi-platform has not done well. The only reason I think that they made that game was to bankroll the MMO. The MMO is nowhere near finished. And as a result, now the state of Rhode Island has no idea what to do, and they had an emergency meeting last week to talk about it. Now I say all of this, you guys should be following this story, because I find it almost interesting, or almost ironic. I'm not sure if it is, if they were talking about the wonderful expansiveness of MMOs, it might be ironic. But in any case, at PAX East, I sat in on a panel called "The Future of MMOs," and Curt Schilling was on that panel to talk about the future of online gaming. And here we are a month later, a little over a month later. Excuse me, guys. A little over a month later, and we're looking at this, and we're saying, interesting, right? So it has me thinking about MMOs specifically in the future of online gaming. So here's the question for the Weekly Ringer for next week. Consider all of that to answer this. Are MMO, and I'll leave it at that, MMOs part of the future or the history of online gaming? Think that one over and let me know what you have to say, because I think there's a lot to be said here about this. So, are MMOs part of the history or the future of online gaming? Let me know what you think. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching and for commenting on the Weekly Ringer. I am the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and there is no reset button.